Former staffers describe Harris as soul-destroying bully who left them in tears. Seems like people can't stand working for this woman. She is incompetent. She's a bully, they call her, and most of the people that were around when her and Biden first went into the White House, most of the staffers left. She only had like a less than a handful of staffers left from when she first came in office because it was such a toxic environment. It's terrible, evil. I told y'all, evil woman. So we're gonna talk about this. But before we get started, go ahead and hit that like button, share this out so we can get this information out there. Subscribe if you're not already a subscriber, and hit that alarm bell so you know when I'm putting out new stuff. Also, check out my link tree in the description. It has a link to my Patreon, and that's where I talk about things that I can't talk about here. Also, follow me on X. I post a bunch of news there as well. All right, so let's talk about this news. Now, this comes from the Conservative Brief from John Daugherty. He reports that several former staffers of Vice President Kamala Harris have unloaded on their one-time boss, describing her as a bully who often left people in tears after berating them in degrading tirades. The staffers who spoke to the author Charlie Spearing for UK's Daily Mail describe her as a, quote, soul-destroying bully, which led to unprecedented levels of staff turnover. Quote, only 4 of the initial 71 staffers hired by Harris during her first year in office still remain in the job. The rest either quit or were fired, according to analysis by nonpartisan watchdog Open the Books. Spearing reported, quote, that transfers to a 92% staff turnover rate, and say critics is a likely sign that the issues on Team Harris have more to do with her than anyone else. A 92% staff turnover, that is remarkable. That's crazy. I worked at a prison as a prison therapist, and I don't even think their turnover rate was that high. People would quit and get walked out all the time. Wow, 92%. Worst. I'm pretty sure that's worse than prison turnover rate. Wow. He went on to note that while researching his recently published Harris biography, quote, Amateur Hour, which was released in January, his sources recounted, quote, horror stories of their treatment of Harris, several of which he said shocked me. Dating back to 2010, when she served as California Attorney General, she was known then as running a toxic work environment. One professor at the University of California, Sacramento, Barbara O'Connor, told the biographer that several of her students who interned for Harris, quote, frequently came back to her crying and saying they felt they weren't valued. Wow. See what happened when you, and you talk and you contrast this to Trump. People love working for Trump. Even some like people that working like the some of the janitors, down to the janitors and stuff like that, go and talk about how wonderful Trump is. And you look at Harris and people that work for Harris, and you hear the exact opposite things about this woman. But when Harris was elected in 2016 as a U.S. Senator from the Golden State, apparently she took the same bad behaviors to Washington, D.C. Quote, analysis showed her office had the 9th highest staff turnover rate out of the 114 senators who served between 2017 and 2020. Wow. Spearing wrote, he added, congressional sources told the Mail that she would berate subordinates in explicative-laden tirades. Wow. Republican staffers would also at times get caught up in the verbal abuse. One source said she berated a room full of Senate staffers in 2018 amid a highly contentious confirmation hearing for now Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh, who was falsely accused of sexual assaulting several women during his college days. During one episode, sources said Harris blew up in an angry tirade outside of the main Senate Judiciary Committee room, yelling, quote, anyone whose staff get the F out of here, to all staffers, including those who worked for GOP senators. Wow. Spearing added, in a sensational resignation letter shared with the New York Post, the New York Times. In November 2019, Harris's then Senate Operations Director Kelly Molenbercher slammed her boss, saying, quote, "I have never seen an organization treat its staff so poorly." Wow. Again, prison staff get treated a lot better than that. We would have cookouts and all types of stuff. I mean, this woman is so bad. Oh my gosh. She continued, quote, "It's not acceptable to me that it is not acceptable to me that we encourage people to move from Washington, D.C. to Baltimore only to lay them off with no notice." Wow. Morale has never been lower, she added, saying there was no real plan for how Harris might win, but that she hoped her departure might result in some serious consideration of our internal communications. Harris's behavior towards her staff has apparently changed little since she became Joe Biden's vice president, according to multiple reports. The Washington Post interviewed current and former staffers, many on the condition of anonymity, for a December 2021 story, and they gave some candid responses to what it is like working for Harris. Quote, "It's clear that you're not working with somebody who is willing to do the prep and the work." I told y'all, one former staffer said, this is how she confused North Korea with South Korea, because she doesn't do the work. At least if you're ignorant of this stuff, like if you don't know the difference between North Korea and South Korea, you would think one would do some research or at least read some stuff before you go out and speak on it. She would not even do that type of stuff. This is why she end up looking dumb, end up looking ignorant, and having these word salads. But quote, "With Camilla, you have to put up with the constant amount of soul-destroying criticism and also her own lack of confidence. So you're constantly sort of propping up a bully, and it's not really clear why." Earlier that year, Politico reported that some staffers believe her office was abusive. Quote, "People are thrown under the bus from the very top. There are short fuses, and it's an abusive environment." A person that Politico claims knows how her office works said, quote, "It's not a healthy environment, and people often feel mistreated. It's not a place where people feel supported, but a place where people feel treated like S." Sad, sad, sad. But these are things that we already knew. You know, I've been talking about this for years. She's not a nice woman. But we need to get this information out here and let people know how her true character, so that way people can vote on her character and the content of that character rather than the color of her skin, like the great Dr. Martin Luther King would always say. But y'all, let me know what y'all think about this. Leave your comments down below. Like, share, and subscribe, and check out jjthepsychotherapist.com for the latest in news. Until next time, peace.